Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to this week's episode of What the Heck Do You Do, a weekly podcast where we highlight business owners doing unique and unusual things. Coming to you live every Thursday, at 9:30 a.m. here at BDLocal in Tacoma. This week's sponsors are Draft Air Mechanical and Rich Rhodes with New York Life. If you're interested in coming on the show as a guest or being a weekly sponsor, you can email me at rich.rhodes@gmail.com and we will get you all set up. But without further ado, we've been sitting here chatting pre-gaming, so super excited to have my buddy Bo Bishop with Draft Air Mechanical on today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I was waiting for Rich Rhodes to ask me, like, I had this vision in my mind. He's going to get down on one knee, but he just messaged me at 10 o'clock and then...
So Bo likes to let people come to him, so
yeah.
he's used to getting calls at 10 o'clock at night, and we'll talk a little bit about that and just some of the stories that I know I've heard about your reliability and availability when it comes to doing what you do. But first off, let's dive into that real quick and tell us what the heck do you do?
I own my own HVAC company, so I do focus on heating and cooling. I do commercial refrigeration as well. I help a lot of restaurants in our group, and like I was telling you before we opened this, that I've been told that I do dad stuff, and I really focus on that because I know that I've got kids, and I know that they're going to go out in this world and they're going to be in areas that maybe they're not familiar with. And we have a lot of military in this area, and they bring their husbands or their wives out here, and then they go on deployment. And they're in a strange area, they don't know anything, and their dad maybe does the same thing I do, or would, excuse me, for them in Georgia or New York. And now they're stuck here in Washington, and they as much as their dad wants to help them, they feel helpless in that scenario. And I'm there to go, it's going to be okay, and we're going to get through it, and I'm going to help you out just like your dad would. And that seems to work for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but that definitely sounds like your business model. So Bo and I are in a networking group together, and every time that this story goes, Bo, stand up, and everybody goes, Bo, and then it's da-da-da broke. I didn't have a clue what to do, but I knew if I called Bo that it would work out, and inevitably it did. And it seems like every story is some variation of that. So.
And, there's a quote that I live by, and it's from Joe Dirt. And you can't have no in your heart. And so I don't tell anyone no until I actually look at it. This last week, Dallas, he sent me to a friend of his, and I had never worked on a massage table. But it has motors, it has electricity, it has everything that I'm familiar with. So let me go look. And 10 minutes later, after showing up, it was fixed, and I messaged him, hey, you're good to go. And I take those personal because that's Dallas's customer, his friend, his whatever. He's going, I have to show a good impression, and if I can't be reliable, I can't have the skills and knowledge to, or be honest with them and say, look, I've never worked on a massage therapy table before, but I'm willing to take a look at it and see what you got going on, and if I can fix it, great. If I can't, then at least you're no worse for the wear before I showed up than after. I always try to leave everything better when I leave there than when I got there. So whether that's knowledge of this is your next step, or if it's me actually fixing it and walking away with great stuff. I mean, I have a couple of people that I have done stuff for that has been told. I've done an oil burning furnace, a diesel burning furnace, and a gas burning boiler, which are three things you rarely see in the industry. And one guy told me there was over 10 companies that he had called, and every one of them said, I don't do that. I won't even, we're not even going to look at it. We're not even going to entertain coming there. and I was able to fix it and it was on a triplex, and he had 3 tenants out of heat. That's a bad scenario for a landlord to be in, and I try to help people out. I do the same thing for restaurants. I understand a small business, we don't have huge margins. We're not able to,
shut down for 3 days.
Yeah, and when you're going, all my life savings is in a freezer, and this is food for my restaurant, and if the freezer goes bad and my life savings is bad, and then I'm banking on selling that food to purchase the next truck that's coming in, if the freezer's down, that goes bad. Now I've got to refuse a truck. I have to shut down because I don't have food. That can destroy a business, a small business, in a heartbeat.
Right.
And I'm able to step in and, just say, hey, look, everything's going to be okay. Just give me a little bit of time. I'll move things around. And as a small business owner, I'm able to go, I don't really have to work a 9 to 5. Somebody tells me when you go into small business, you go from working 80 hours a week, when you're in your busy season for somebody else, to choosing what 80 hours you work. I choose to front load mine, so I'll work 12-hour days to take care of every customer I can, and usually the only thing that makes it so that I have to schedule is waiting for parts. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I take care of people nights, weekends. I answer my phone for all of the people that are in my networking groups, no matter what, because I don't want... There's people who will do emergency calls, and they'll charge you double or triple, and nights and weekends, and I get that. If you have employees, that's probably not something you can get away from, because your overhead goes up for overtime and things like that when they come out.
And you need to pay them a premium.
Correct.
If they're going to show up at 11:30 at night.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But with me, I'm able to go... I wouldn't know... I would hate that feeling of going, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have it in my budget to spend $500 to repair it, and then they want to double that to $1,000 to repair the same item, and I'm going, okay, yes, you got heat at 2 o'clock in the morning. Had you waited 5 hours later till 8 o'clock, it would have been regular pricing, and they go, well, I needed heat right then, but then in 5 hours, they've got that buyer's remorse where they're going, I just should have waited the 5 hours. I don't know what we're going to do. The reality starts setting in, and you can't do anything about that afterwards. Mm-hmm. I'm on the other end of the spectrum, and I want to go, let's get it fixed. Let's get you back up and running, and we'll work out the details in the morning. Yeah. And so that happens so often. It's kind of been my niche of, I help people out, and very rarely do I have to go out there. Most of the time I can talk someone through, let's bypass it, get you into an emergency heat mode, or get a scenario where we can come out during the day, because fact of the matter is no matter how many parts I carry on my vehicle, or this, that, or the other, the part that's going to break is the one I don't have. Right. So I go out there in the middle of the night, and I still can't. I can maybe try to get something to work, but if it's a part where I don't have it, I'm not able to do anything for you anyway, and it wastes your time, it wastes my time. Nobody wants that. So I try to come up with good solutions that we're able to overcome those in a short amount of time, and take care of people. And that's all I do.
I love it. So how did you get to be so handy? Take us back. How did you end up starting your own business?
I've done maintenance type stuff for a lot of different areas. I went into computer science and programming, started maintaining robots. I started doing manufacturing in food, and worked on Fort Lewis and JVLM, doing all kinds of different things, whether it was you never know what the call is going to be. So I just started going, I'm going into houses and I'm maintaining everything. And I got on a bigger scale and started doing food manufacturing and saw that there wasn't a whole lot of difference. A motor's a motor. It could be the size of a cell phone or it can be the size of a car. It's still the same inner workings, and there's still the same wiring schematics, the same, everything was identical. And so I just started applying it, and eventually, there's voices around you that say, you should do this for yourself. I think you've got something, a winning combination. And you always hear those things like, oh, everybody said I should do it. And then once they do it and they take that leap, they go, I should have done this years ago.
Right.
I'm on the other end of that spectrum.
Okay.
I shouldn't have done it a minute sooner than when I did it. And the reason is because I wasn't ready for it. When people were going, you should do this, it was 5 years ago. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared mentally. I wasn't prepared for maybe mature-wise. I don't know that I was prepared for that. I wasn't ready for it. Yes, I had a good product.
The beard wasn't ready.
Exactly. And so I just kind of go, I wasn't ready for it. Timing wasn't right. Nothing was right. And so had I done it back then, maybe it would have been a colossal failure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hindsight's always 20/20. We can look back and we can say, I should have done it 5 years ago. But 5 year younger me may have screwed it up to the point where I couldn't recover from it.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Okay.
So I think everybody needs to go, when you're ready, you'll know, and you'll make that leap.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to listen to those voices in my head saying, I get it. Everybody else thinks you're ready, but nobody else knows where your mindset is at. And at the time, it wasn't focused on starting and running a business. It was I was raising a family. And now my oldest daughter's 20. I've got a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old. And they're starting to get to the point where I'm not necessarily, they don't need their parents as much, but they have stuff going on in their lives that takes them away from so much time with us. And so it allows me to have more free time to be able to focus on owning and running a business. And I think that it's timing is everything, and you have to know when that time is right for you.
Sure.
So
Well, and I love the idea of even if you could have done it 5 years ago and you would have been a success, what good does it do to tell yourself, like, hey, I'm experiencing success right now. Man, I wish I did it. Like, you're taking away from it.
yeah.
So even if it's not true, like, why wouldn't you just tell yourself, you know what, I did this. And I feel the same way, right? I'm in a client-facing role for the first time, and part of me is like, oh man, I wish I would have escaped corporate America, that 9-to-5 environment 5 years ago. But why bother telling yourself that? It doesn't do you any good.
No.
Even if it is true.
Exactly.
Like, you got to where you are when you got there.
Yeah.
So no, I love that.
And I had 5 more years of maturity. I had 5 more years of experience. I had 5 more years of just growing up to do. And I think, people, you want to grow up so fast. It's like, let's do this, let's do that. And they don't take the time to just go, you know what, let things happen. I mean, 5 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have been able to get the amount of business that I needed to get. So I think that there's things out there. You know what's best for you. You really do. And when you're going, this is not financially responsible or emotionally responsible, you start taking those things into account, and you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
And nobody else can make those decisions for you. I wouldn't want anyone to. Like, we each individually have our own path, and we have people that are going to help us, and people that are going to try to drag us down.
Right.
In every one of those, right? And no matter what, somebody's going to say, wow, you're doing amazing, you have all this stuff, and someone else is going to try to tear you down. And I just go, if I'm happy doing what I'm doing, I don't care what either of you think.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's positive or negative, if you got to take the good, you got to take the bad. So if I take the bad out of the equation, I take the good out as well. And I want to be true to myself, and that's it. If I do that and I fail, at least I did it on my own terms. So is it really a failure, or is it just not success in the way that I viewed success? And that's not a failure. That's me saying, you know what, I couldn't do it on my terms in the way I wanted to do it, so I'm not going to do it. And for me, I'm able to do it in the way that I want and help people out.
Yeah.
I just have fun doing it every single day.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do.
Right.
We have so many revolutions around the sun on this earth, and I'm going to make the best of every day that I have and try to just have fun doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, the minute I knock on someone's door and I'm there to help them in their time of need, because nobody calls me over for the barbecue going, our furnace works great, we don't need you, right?
They always show it to you.
Yeah, we just want you to come look at it and see how shiny it is, right? It's not hey, I purchased a brand new car. It's hey, I had to buy a new furnace, right? And so people, they call me in their worst moments, and when the door opens and there's a smile on their face, I'm glad to see you, that makes it all worth it. There's something about it that just you can't describe, and then you go in there and you're able to fix it. And I'm not here to, I want to send my kids to college, but I don't want one customer to pay for all of it, right? So I share the wealth around to all of them, and I try to, there's so many times where a dishonest person could go in and say, furnace doesn't work, sorry, you're going to just have to replace it. And I'm going, why don't we try to fix it?
Yeah.
There's so many different scenarios of things, and you can go, hey, if we try it and it doesn't work out right, then we go back to the drawing board and we figure it out. But let's not just throw it out. I mean, we don't go, well, the key doesn't work in the door of our house anymore. Rather than going and cutting a new key, we'll just burn the house down or sell the house. We don't do that. So when you're looking at an expensive item in your house, I mean, we look at two of the most expensive items are your heating and cooling systems for your entire house and your plumbing system. I mean, those are the two most things. They're hidden behind walls and nobody looks at them. Right. They come in and they go, it's got granite countertops, it's got brand new cabinets, the floors are redone, it's got all this curb appeal type things, but they don't look at the structural integrity of what am I doing? And for plumbing and for, there's water and air, right? And both of those are going into your body. And they're probably the most consumed items that you're going to have in your house, right? Sure. And out of those two items, you want filtration in them, right? And people don't change their air filter enough. If you don't have a good filter in for either water or for air, you are the filter. So keep that in mind. Like if your filter's dirty and it's not doing you any good, you become that filter. Right. So imagine you look at a filter and you go, man, that thing is really, really dirty. And you've had it in there for 3 months or 6 months or a year. And you go, I've lived in this house for 5 years. Well, you've got 5 times that you've been dealing with.
Right.
Like if you want air quality and water quality to be better, take the steps to make it better, because they're not that hard to do. They really aren't. I mean, I changed the filter in my, and I'm guilty of it too. That little stupid light will come on my refrigerator.
You just hit the button without changing. Uh-oh, dirty little secret.
And I've done it too, but most of the time when I'm doing something like that, you can tell the taste of the water changes, or you can tell the little air filter in the refrigerator that, I've looked at it, it's probably okay for another 3 months, and I'm good to go. And that's the same can be said for your air filter in your home. If you look at it and you go, hey, it's still pretty white, it doesn't look like it needs to be changed right now, then do intervals of a couple of weeks out, check it then, and go, hey, if I can do it in 4 months instead of 3, then do it. And then it will, the more you do it and the more major contaminants you get out of your home, the more you will breathe easy, and the more it will make that longer term.
Gotcha.
The other thing is everybody's going to hardwood floors, laminate flooring, things like that. The biggest air filter in your home is not your filtration system, it's your carpets. That will filter more air than anything else in your home, and it will trap stuff. So having your carpets cleaned is something that I would recommend, along with that stuff. I mean, people think it's a lot more expensive than it really is to have someone do the cleaning on your carpet, but that's something that I would really do. The other thing is if you get rid of all the carpets in a home and that's no longer there, there's nothing to trap that. So you're going to go through air filters in your air filtration system a lot quicker because there's nothing to capture that.
Gotcha.
So things like that just, I don't know. I try to give tidbits here and there to help people out because, I guess you can say the American dream is to try to own a house and have a car and take vacations. And I don't think the American dream is ever the same for two people. Right. It's just not. Everybody has their different things. Some people go, I want to own a home. Others go, I really don't want to own a home ever. Some people go, and I've seen it 100 times. I've gone into mobile home parks, and out front is a brand new $100,000 Corvette. His goal is, his American dream is to drive a fast, expensive car, and he doesn't really need
care less where he lives.
Exactly. Yeah. And other people are going, I would rather have a Fiat in the driveway, or some type of a smaller, cheaper car, and have a huge house. And I've kind of always looked at it like, I really kind of want to be in the middle of the road. For me, that's the American dream. Is I've got enough rooms for all of my kids to be at my house until they are ready to leave on their own, and then have reliable cars that I can count on when I need them. But those two things are a tool for me.
Sure.
It's a tool to, the American dream is having my family grow up in a safe, nice environment that they can have a room to call their own, and things like that, and be able to, I don't know, maybe just be comfortable, and that for me is where it's at. Now eventually I'm sure when they start moving out, that will change for me. It will go, I went from needing a house the size for all of them to, a lot of people downsize, or they move, or they do different things, and then it's going to be, hey, quality of life, so that when they start having grandkids, or they start going to, maybe they got a job offer in a different state. Now the American dream is downsize, put more money in the bank, and be able to fly back and forth on a regular basis so mom can go see grandchildren, right?
Right.
So those change for everybody, and they always have, and I think they always will. It's just not a set in stone, this is what it is, and we're going to get to that point, and then we're going to be happy. It always changes.
Sure.
So be happy with where you're at now, and if something changes, be happy with that too.
Yeah.
You just kind of look at everything, and when the time is right for what you are. And if you're happy today, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
You know, and
No, I think that's a great message. I've taken a lot of classes that talked about and read books about just goal setting, right, and having goals.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you up in the morning because you're pushing towards something.
yeah.
But then, like you're saying, it's not like you reach that goal and then you're like, right?
Yeah.
Let me put my feet up and relax. Then
No,
there's
you
the
gotta
next goal,
work to it.
and it can be something different, you know.
Once you reach that goal, you still got to maintain it.
Right.
Right? And so that goal doesn't go away. You still got to maintain that. Well, I'm happy with where I'm at today. 5 years ago, Bo, may not have been happy with where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I was happy back then with where I was. Now, looking back, could I say, well, yeah, if I would have started my business earlier or done this or done that, would I be happier? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was happy then, so why taint that with something that was unknown?
Right.
Why look back and try to waste my future trying to write the past that can never be done?
Yeah.
You just move forward and you go, be happy with where you're at today, and things are going to change tomorrow. You never know where you're going to be, what's going to happen, who's going to walk into your life or walk out of your life.
Right.
You know, and if more positive people are walking into your life and negative people walking out, I look at that as a great thing.
Sure.
So I'm thankful for the people that are in my life today. They fit and make me happy today. Tomorrow may be a different story.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah. I appreciate you dropping knowledge. It's that type of mentality. That's why you're one of my favorite people in Ignite You. And I think it's funny that I ended up calling you last minute to say, hey, I need you tomorrow. So the guest I had scheduled for tomorrow had a last second cancellation, so I had to scramble and find somebody. And, you know, obviously, you know, like I said, I mean, I always wanted you on the show, and it's never occurred to me to say, like, hey, I need you on. Usually I talk about the show at Ignite You, and then somebody says, like, hey. So I think it's ironic because, like I said, when we started, all of the stories about you are like, hey, I know it's 10 o'clock at night, but I'm in a bind.
Yes.
And sure enough, so maybe that's just how people need to communicate with you.
It is.
They need to wait and be like, oh, crap, I don't know what to do. Oh, I'll call Bo. He'll fix it.
There you go. And I'm kind of, so in our networking group, there's a guy that everybody calls Magic Mark. He runs a printing location, and whenever someone needs business cards, they never call him and say, hey, I'm down to my last 100. When you get it, they're like, hey, I'm down to my last 4 business cards, and I've got a meeting in the morning where I've got to give 8 of them away. Can you get me business cards tomorrow? So they call him in the 11th hour and ask him for that. So I'm kind of the 11th hour on everything else. On a telephone related, like people will call me and go, hey, I need my furnace fixed, or I need this or that. And, you know, Sandra Hart, she is the realtor. She says, I'm the realtor that answers my phone when no one else will. Well, I answer my phone just as much because I just want to help people.
Sure.
And I put that over everything else. And that's what makes it worth it. When I go home at the end of the night, I'm able to go, you know what? I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I'm helping people. And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I really love what I do.
So do you also do, I guess, like new installations and things like that, less panicky situations?
So, yeah, I do. So I did a furnace this last week. I do a lot more of that stuff than the emergency stuff. But the emergency stuff is what gets people to, I guess, acknowledge or say, hey, you know, this was in my time of need. This is when something happened. Nobody goes, hey, I had planned this for 6 years, and Bo came out and did a really great job. They do tell people that as well.
Right.
But most of the time it's going, you know, nobody wants to spend money on something that's working fine.
Right.
So when your furnace is working fine, your AC system is working fine, you just kind of forget about it.
Right.
You shouldn't, but people forget about it, and then they don't call me until they really need to. Now, I think that I'm in people's brains a little bit when I'm constantly at meetings. They constantly see me, and I have a lot more customers saying, you know what, I do need to get my furnace serviced. I do need to start keeping up on that. And I'm starting to get more and more of those customers calling through. I don't yet have a subscription-based plan set up or any of that stuff because...
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly. Right? I just kind of go through the process of, I don't want to be... I'm not a sales guy by heart.
Yeah.
I'm really not. I mean, I'm kind of a tour guide of your heating and cooling system, and I just want to guide you through and go... every time I walk through the front door of a house, I go, if this was my house, and whether my budget was unlimited or it was limited, no matter how much, what would I do if I had to repair this or replace it right now? And if I'm going to do the same thing in my house that I'm going to do for your house, the recommendation that I give you is solid.
Right.
And so I don't, normally I have clients that may say, well, hey, I can't afford it. I would like to do that. I could afford it in 3 months or 6 months or something like that. Okay, well, in that case, because I never know their finances. With me, I'm going, okay, I know what mine are, but let me put myself in their shoes. What then would I do? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we can get by with doing this, and it could get us another 3 to 6 months. It's going to buy us time, but realize that you're not buying an infinite amount of time. You're buying a short period of time, and if that goes from a $12,000 job down to a $500 fix for now, and it lasts 6 months, it gives you time to save up for that, figure out what you're going to do in the meantime to be able to assess for that. And that's what I try to do, is buy someone as much time as I can with it, but I also go, it's mechanical. It could last, the fix could last 6 hours, 6 days, 60 days, 600 days. We don't know.
Right.
But we just know that, hey, the way that things are going, you need to start planning for it. And if we get to that 60 days or 600 days, that gave you a lot more time to plan for that and save for it. And, I would recommend, what I do is always recommend what I do in my own house. But ultimately, nobody knows someone else's situation.
Sure.
We just kind of assume they're in the same situation as you are.
Right.
And that's not always the case. And they may be in a better situation, they may not be. That's another thing, is I've heard sometimes people will go, based on the size of the house or this, that, and the other, they should be able to afford this. Well, their American dream might have been to be house poor. We want the biggest house on the block because we want to have 8 children, and we will drive 30-year-old vehicles that are on their last leg, that don't impress anybody, but they get me from point A to point B, and that's their American dream. Mm-hmm. So if they have a zero balance at the end of the month and they're not able to do anything but they're happy, I'm all for it.
Right.
Just live the best life that you can for you. And, there used to be things like keeping up with the Joneses, and you just, nowadays, just keep up with yourself.
Yeah.
But the thing I liked back then was people got to know their neighbors.
Yeah.
So I am the other guy that will sit on the front porch and make things awkward when you're checking your mailbox. I will say hi until you acknowledge that I exist. But I'll share a beer with anyone. Just I'm here to have fun.
Yeah, man. That's why you're the best. Well,
I
could talk to you all day. So,
I could too,
yeah, man, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
What's the best way for folks to reach out? Phone, email, website?
All of them. I mean, I answer my phone, my email. You can text the same number that you have to get a hold of me on the phone. If you're on Facebook, I am too. I've got both my business Facebook and my personal Facebook. I mean, I'm not hard to find.
Yeah.
My phone number is 360-814-3338.
Gotcha. And that's on the website as well. Have you seen the movie Hitch?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I feel like you're the guy who, like, you don't publish your information. You just have, like, a little black card with your phone number.
Yeah.
So if you're going to call you at 11 o'clock at night, it's, like, top secret. And you got to know the guy that knows the guy to get you the magician.
Absolutely.
So, no, but I love that. It's great that your sort of variety of experiences let you walk in and fix almost anything. Because I think that's, you talked about, maybe dishonest repairmen recommending a replacement. And some of it could be, hey, they're trying to maximize money to put food on the table. And some of it could be they look at it and they're like, well, I don't know what to do, so we have to replace it, right? It's the Control-Alt-Delete, restart the computer instead of trying to fix the problem because you just don't know and you don't have the experience. So like you said, I think it probably took all the years of you doing all the different things you did to put you in a position to be the guy you can call at 11 o'clock at night that can look at almost anything and take a shot at it. So.
Yeah.
That's
Why
awesome.
not, right?
Yeah, man. So, thanks so much for coming on, especially
Absolutely.
last minute. Another late night phone call to Bo, and hey, I need you. So, thanks so much. That was super fun. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Next week we'll have Annette Lenker with Holy Cow Critters. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and keep chasing your dreams. Thanks.
Yeah.